The terms have been revealed for Bill Belichick's contract at North Carolina. There's some unusual stuff in there.
You are Locked On ACC, your daily podcast on the Atlantic Coast Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Shout out to the everydayers, and thank you so much for making Locked On ACC your first listen and your first watch today. We're available free wherever you get your podcast. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. On this loaded episode of Locked On ACC, former Boston College quarterback Thomas Castellanos has found a new home in a familiar conference and familiar colors. So he's gonna feel right at home where he wound up. Speaking of which, Florida State is now walking back the idea that they ever wanted to leave the ACC. Somehow that's not our lead topic today, Kenton Gibbs, because we got Bill Belichick signing his contract, officially announcing today or yesterday, Thursday. What day is today? It's Friday? Officially.
Yeah.
Is it already Friday? He is the North Carolina Tar Heels head coach. Would you like to go over the terms of his contract?
I would love to know him. Talk to me, Donald. Tell me the numbers. Let's do the knowledge here on Locked On ACC.
I mentioned there's some unusual stuff in there, which honestly is to be expected because this is not a normal head coaching hire. Like you hire the 72, soon to be 73-year-old with the most Super Bowl rings of any coach in NFL history. So you knew there was going to be some unusual stuff in here. So Bill Belichick, he agrees to a 5-year deal, which is really a 3-year deal. We'll talk about that, with the annual yearly salary coming out to $10 million. Now, it's weird the way that they finagle the numbers. I don't know if this is for tax purposes or because it's a state institution. So technically, his base salary is $1 million plus $9 million of supplemental income every single year. And those aren't bonuses, not to be confused with bonuses. He's going to make $10 million a season. Why they have to delineate it as base pay and supplemental income, I don't understand it, but he is guaranteed $10 million per year, which, by the way, Kenton, is double what they used to pay Mac Brown. So they went younger. They found a coach who's eight months younger than Mac Brown. They're paying him twice as much. Makes total sense. Now, only the first 3 years are guaranteed. So they're calling it a 5-year deal. It's really a 3-year deal. But here's the oddest part about this contract, Kenton, is that, despite the fact that he's making $10 million per year, his buyout as of June 1st of 2025, which is this coming June, that's only less than 6 months away from right now, before he'll ever have coached a game, his buyout dips down to only $1 million. So it would only cost $1 million to buy out Bill Belichick, which tells me he's definitely keeping the door open, that if anyone from the NFL calls him, he is going to skedaddle faster than you can say, Belichick. You're muted.
I think that you're 50% right there, Dono. I think you're 50% right. I think this absolutely is himself keeping the door open to the NFL, but this is also UNC keeping the door open to other coaches if Bill Belichick crashes and burns like many of us think he will. Think about this for a second. Even if he were to have a $30 million buyout, $20 million buyout, whatever the case may be, who in the NFL would not pay that? If you're looking at back-to-back 10-win seasons at a game that he's objectively never coached. He's never coached with wide hashes. That's something that's never happened. That's like on the field, tangible stuff. He's never coached with that. He's never had to coach 18 to 22-year-olds. If he shows that he can do this at a high level, the NFL is definitely going to come calling, and you're absolutely right. There's going to be that interest in, hey, pay that. But what NFL team would be hesitant to pay that? When you think about some of the worst franchises. Exactly. When you think about some of these bad franchises that are going through it and everybody's saying all they need is a coach or a culture, all of a sudden you bring in the winningest coach of all time. If all you got to pay is what? $10 million a year on his salary, $8 million a year on his salary, and a $20 million buyout, most owners would take that deal for a chance at a Super Bowl. Everybody's saying that the Eagles' problem is Sirianni. Well,
right.
Would you not pay? How much do you think a Super Bowl is worth to the Philly fan, to the Philadelphia Eagles fan base? How much do you think is worth to their owners? So I look at this and I say, I think that this is both sides kind of looking at each other like, hey, I ain't going to be here for long, one way or the other. And the university's looking back saying, hey, we know you're not going to be here long, one way or the other. Let's get it on and let's get it over with. But the thing that I find most interesting about this contract is this, Tom. You know who the oldest coach in college football was going to be at the start of next season?
Mac Brown? I don't know.
Yeah, do you know who the oldest coach in college football is going to be next year?
Bill Belichick.
Correct. Correct on both fronts.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised by the length of the deal being very short based on that. Because everybody, from all reports, I've heard that he was exceedingly charming at this here press conference. And
I watched it. He was.
He was so endearing. And to that, I'd simply say this. What is endearing to the media, what is endearing to guys your age and my age is not what's endearing to an 18-year-old who grew up watching Cocomelon and Twitch streams. It's not what they enjoy and what they think like, hey, this is what I want to see from my head coach is very different. You want to know how I know it's different? Because remember Coach Prime, also known as Deion Sanders, opening statements and all that? What did the media say? What did guys like you and I say? And not me and you personally, but guys who are in our ilk, who are our peers, what were they saying? What a clown show. Oh, he just comes up there looking cocky, looking arrogant, looking this, looking that. And yet they put together back-to-back solid recruiting classes in Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah.
They got number one player in the nation in what? Back-to-back classes in terms of the cornerback, Travis, and then the big tackle. Yeah. They're doing something. So I will say this. I am interested to see how this plays out. Many people said I was too critical. My bias against UNC is just too strong. I am going to tell you this. If NC State hired a 72-year-old who never coached college football, I would have the similar level of energy. It would just be with disgust and anger instead of excitement. Because again, this is a situation. We're going to get into the winners and losers, but this is a situation that's just odd. It's odd all around. There's no denying that.
I said it Thursday on Locked On Canes. It's like I'm very intrigued by the fact that this is happening. I'm just kind of glad somebody else is rolling the dice on this and not my program, because it's a huge risk, especially on what's essentially a short-term deal. Now, maybe because normally you don't hire a college coach on just a 3-year deal because it's not a solid enough foundation for recruiting. But maybe in this day and age, because so much is done through the portal anyway, maybe it may not matter as much as it used to, because you're microwaving rosters around the country anyway. You're doing more portal work than you are long-term recruiting. So in that sense, it might work. But when we come back, I want to talk about who are the winners and losers for Bill Belichick to North Carolina. We also have to talk about these crazy comments coming out of Florida State. And I know Florida State fans are going to attack us, and they're going to defend the comments because there are a lot of semantics that are being thrown out. Because I can remember some of the conversations we had in the early days of the lawsuits. And I remember the way that people were kind of twisting and manipulating the words. There's a lot of that going on right now. You want to keep it locked right here, my friends. We're only getting started on this brand new episode of Locked On ACC. Only getting started with Gametime. I scored some tickets this week on Gametime at an awesome price to see maybe the final tour of AC/DC. I'm going to be seeing them live coming up in May, so I cannot wait for that. Guys, you want to check out the Gametime app. Gametime Picks is an awesome new feature that filters out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Folks, Gametime also gives you this awesome all-in pricing feature that shows you the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. You can get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. The lowest price guarantee means Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference if you find tickets in the same section and row for less. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's Game Time. Thank you so much for making this episode of Locked On ACC your first listen and your first watch today. We're available free wherever you get your podcasts. We're free on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So I was looking at this USA Today article, Kenton, about who are the winners and the losers of Bill Belichick coming out of, I guess you can't even call it retirement because he didn't retire by choice. He just didn't get an NFL job last year, but coming to coach the North Carolina Tar Heels. And the first winner that they mention is the ACC. And I agree with this, Kenton. This gives the conference a ton of publicity. The greatest NFL coach of all time. He's not going to the SEC. He's not going to the Big Ten. He's coming to the ACC. We're going to be covering ACC kickoff media days this summer. That's going to be a circus. Think about all the extra people that are going to be there for Belichick. So, yeah. The ACC definitely, no matter how well or not well he does at North Carolina, the ACC wins right now because we're getting all the PR. Oh, you're mute. Oh, sorry, that's my fault. This time I had you muted.
See, the big Bill Belichick lobby, they're coming for me. We're doing the knowledge on Locked On ACC and they don't like it. Yeah. But let me tell you something. Number one, I love the Brian Kelly style SAC little accent you did there. But number two,
family.
They're excited. They're excited, even though you're a Midwestern guy. What are you doing? But that's neither here nor there. You're absolutely right, Dono. Check the scoreboard, baby. How many Super Bowl coaches do we have? Super Bowl winning head coaches do we have in our conference? 1. How many Super Bowls we got? How many of them we got? 6. Check the scoreboard. Scoreboard, baby. No, but in all seriousness, this absolutely brings a ton of eyes to the ACC. And I'm going to say something here that USA Today refused to acknowledge because it kind of makes you the center of attention. ACC media is the winners of this thing too, because this is going to be the rising tide that lifts all of our ships. People are now going to be paying attention to ACC at a high level, like you just talked about. ACC Media Days is going to be a bigger event than it's ever been. And guess who that benefits? Guys like me and you, Dono. We're going to be there.
I hope they still let us in. We got credentials last year. I hope they credential us again this year because everyone's going to be trying to go.
Lord have mercy. If they dare deny me those credentials this year, I am going to have to write a very strongly worded letter. I know a lot of middle-aged women with asymmetrical bobs, so I will know how to ask for your manager in the proper voice. But that's
I don't want to apply for a credential. They're like, oh, sorry, we gave your credential to Bob Costas, who's going to be covering ACC Media Day for the first. Like, what? Bob Costas compared to me.
Yeah, I mean, come on now. What does Mitch Albom know about the ACC? What does he know? Get out of here, Mitch. Get out of here. We're going to go write another book or something. But in all seriousness, I think that this is an absolute win for the ACC as a conference. I think it's a win for ACC media. And I think it's a win for national media as well, because this is a topic during a time of the year to where we're not quite at the playoff point in the NFL. The NBA, they're trying to do this, the NBA Cup thing to generate buzz.
I hate that tournament. It's so stupid.
Baseball ain't nothing's going on there. That season's over, all that good stuff. Like, there's not much going on. So Bill making a splash, everybody wins here. Everybody wins in the short term, at least.
Yeah. So another winner that they list, and he's no longer with us, but they list Don Shula as a winner because, Bill is less likely to break Shula's all-time wins record now. But like still, the door could still be open for Bill to go back to the NFL. It would only cost $1 million to buy him out, but seems less likely he's going to come back to NFL coaching. So they list Don Shula as a winner. They also, and this is actually a good point they bring up, they list Michael Jordan, the Jordan brand, as a winner, because you think about they make all the UNC gear, Kenton. That gear is going to be flying off the shelves. They're going to start making sleeveless hoodies. Maybe they'll make him a coach's shoe. Yeah. So, and honestly, I saw somebody bring this up this week that if Michael Jordan is smart, he would invest a lot more NIL into North Carolina. Maybe, get his products out there. Maybe try to buy some championships out there. Right? He can become the Phil Knight of Tar Heels football and basketball.
I mean, clearly he ain't paying enough in that basketball team. Where are they, about 500? Yikes. Hate to see that before conference play starts. But that's neither here nor there. I agree with some of those winners, okay? I agree with some of those winners. However, I think the Don Shula winner, we're looking at this too short-sighted. Which way is Bill Belichick less likely to get an NFL job? Think about these two scenarios and which one makes him less likely to get an NFL job. Him sitting on the couch and doing the Manning cast every Monday and Thursday, or him coaching a football team and actually becoming good, showing this may be a different level, but I can make a winner still in this year of our Lord and Savior, 2025, 2026, 2027. Which one of those scenarios is most likely to get him back on the NFL sidelines and chasing Don Shula's record?
The second scenario. It's coaching.
Exactly. Yeah. It's the latter. Right. When he's sitting there talking about, oh, that's a bad job of him by cover two, you have got to make sure that you're carrying that guy and making him go wide before. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that you know that, Bill, but it's the ability to connect with players. It's the ability to kind of adjust and be flexible to where the game is going now, which people thought he lacked. And so if he can show that he can do that at this level, Don, brother, I know you're looking down at us and thinking, hey, y'all stop talking about my record, but may not be safe with him on the sideline. So, and the Jordan Brand thing, I mean, come on now. We all know UNC's fan base, a lot of them were made at Walmart. A lot of them were made when they walked down those aisles and different stores and saw those shirts and said, oh, look at that. Isn't that nice? I'm sorry. Let me stop it. Let me not be that guy.
Petty.
UNC is a national brand, and I do, again, I would be lying. I would be in denial saying bringing in Bill Belichick doesn't add to that brand. I want to know who the losers are listed as. I want to hear that one time, Don.
Well, okay, first, they did another winner. Actually, they did two more winners, and these are cop-outs because they put both of these in the winners and the losers category. It's one of those articles where they hedge a little bit. So they list both UNC football and Bill Belichick. They list as both winners and losers. And it's, I guess dealing with the eventualities, right? Because obviously if Belichick succeeds, it's great. If Belichick doesn't, here's what they say about Bill as a loser. Has he bitten off more than he can chew? Will he have buyer's remorse in a month, especially if, say, the top job for the New York Giants, the NFL franchise that rocket-fueled his coaching arc and with whom Belichick won two Super Bowls as a defensive coordinator, becomes available? Is he really wired to collaborate with the teenagers and 20-somethings he'll have to court and keep happy in the NIL and transfer portal environment? It goes on. And here's what they say about UNC football as a loser. What have they really signed up for here? The Heels have gone way out a Carolina pine limb to make a splashy, expensive hire with no college track record. And how much program building can a septuagenarian, even one as accomplished as Belichick, achieve in what will be, by definition, a limited window? Also, what sacrifices, concessions, and consequences, and there will certainly be some as components of this hire. Many assumptions already being made about a potential succession plan involving his son. Is UNC agreeing to, particularly any that could reverberate well after Belichick is no longer on the job? So those are all valid points as to why you would put Bill and UNC in the losers column. I saw Chase Daniel brought up an interesting point. You have to wonder, like, maybe Bill is more suited to today's college football than the college football of 4 or 5 years ago, because it's become so much more transactional and less about building relationships. When it comes to, like, you essentially have like, I'm not going to say a salary cap, but it's essentially like a pro minor league now. So maybe that would suit Bill better than the old college game.
I disagree strongly. I could not disagree with that more. And let me explain to you why. I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong here, I believe that Cam Ward's biggest offer came from Miami. Am I right or am I wrong, Donald?
As far as I know, yes. But
Okay.
it's hard to say for sure. But I'll say you're probably right about that.
But the other offers came pretty close, didn't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, why would he pick Miami over those other schools then? Schools that are probably much closer to where he grew up, schools that are much closer to or in conferences that he had played against some of those teams at a higher level. Why would he pick Miami? Interesting. Similar situation with Damian Martinez. Why would he pick Miami? Same with so many other guys that I've heard. I've talked to big time players. I talked to Justin Jolie in person, and we spoke off air about this. And he gave me the right away. He gave me the clear to say that NC State was not his biggest offer. That was not his biggest offer. It is still about building those relationships.
Yeah.
And everybody says, oh, it's transactional now because there's money involved. Well, yes, sure. But it's not just about the biggest bag all the time. Sometimes there's an overwhelming bag that comes in. Sometimes Barstool Big Cat comes in and says, hey, buddy, I got 12 of them things for you. How about it? How about it? Sign on the dotted line and you got 12. For the majority of players, that's not the case. The vast majority. So when I look at this, I say it's not that transactional. And I want to say one thing about the winner and loser, because I do agree with AP that there is a one winner and one loser out of this deal. The winner by a mile is UNC. Not because they'll be good, not because this won't set them back. UNC is a program, and this is not me being petty. This is objectively me saying, looking at what you have done, looking at what you have produced and created, this is who they are. They're about splash, they're about flash, they're about the headlines, they're about people having eyes on. That I think you and I can both agree to that. And that's not shade. That's not me saying, oh, let's compare to NC State. No. Just in general, that is something that UNC embraces at a very high level. I have never seen a moment where UNC has rejected publicity. I've never seen that ever. So with that in mind, UNC absolutely wins because even if this does not work out well, they have become a story. A 6-6 football team, Dono. We're talking about a 6-6 squad right now. They're talking about a 6-6 squad on ESPN right now. They're talking about a 6-6. This college football playoff bracket is set, and we're talking about a 6-6 team. Yeah. So they absolutely win. Bill Belichick loses because this will be remembered as the ugliest part of his coaching career. I would be, and I'm not against admitting I'm wrong if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong and I got to come on here and eat crow and say, hey, it's working out splendidly, I will do so. However, everything in me is telling me this is the worst decision for Bill Belichick possible because he's going to look very, very bad when everybody realizes, oh, man, he's kind of not built for this. Oh, man, it's kind of not all about the money. Because if it was all about the money, Texas A&M would have been an exponentially better team with Jimbo Fisher than they were with Elko. What happened? They were spending money. As soon as spending money became a thing, Texas A&M did it better than everybody. I don't think anybody can argue that. Nope. And yet they did nothing until we look at Elko now here, and he's doing better things. So that's what I look at as the winner and loser here. UNC wins because at the end of the day, UNC, that game of having eyeballs on them, that's a game they like to play, and they won it. They won. Bill Belichick, on the other hand, he just wants to win, which I don't think is going to be his path forward here.
Well, when we come back, you remember all those months that we were talking about how badly Florida State wanted to leave the ACC. Kenton, apparently we owe some apologies because we did months worth of shows on nothing. They never wanted to leave, so they claim. Keep it locked right here. We're not done yet on this brand new episode of Locked On ACC. I already know you're keeping it locked to FanDuel. I cannot wait to see all the prop bets on Bill Belichick's first season at the North Carolina Tar Heels. And you can tackle all the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more right on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with that $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Thank you so much for making Locked On ACC your first listen and your first watch today. Make sure you check out our other shows for your next listen. Kenton and Grayson do an awesome job on Locked On Wolfpack. I host Locked On Canes. All right, so here's the latest coming out of Florida State. Now, is it starting to feel like maybe they're worried about where they would land or not land if they get out of the ACC? So keep in mind they have been suing the ACC, presumably to break the grant of rights for a year. It was over a year ago that those lawsuits were filed. This is from another USA Today story. Shout out to them. Nearly 16 months after its formal notice of withdrawal from the ACC, Florida State has taken a new and odd public stance as its acrimonious lawsuit against the conference continues to play out. Who said we ever wanted to leave the ACC? This is what FSU athletic director Mike Alford said this week. We're in the league the last time I looked, he said. We never said we wanted to leave the league, he said. Actually, they did.
Boo.
In Florida State's August 2023 lawsuit against the ACC, on page 32 of the 38-page complaint, item 151 states, quote, Florida State be deemed to have issued its formal notice of withdrawal from the ACC under section 1.4.5 of the ACC Constitution, effective August 14th, 2023. So I don't know how you spin that. Now, here's how they'll spin it, Kenton, because I remember when we brought this up months ago, Florida State fans notified me, hey, technically, the administration, athletic director, technically, they never said Florida State wanted to leave. It was the board of trustees who said it, which I guess I don't know if you can really detach them when they seem to be pretty instrumental in making decisions here. But it turns out, Kenton, they never said they wanted to leave. They're perfectly happy in the ACC. Am I right?
So let me make this. I just want to be clear. So the lawsuits that were filed by the board of directors or whoever, the board of, what was it, Dono? The board of who now? I want to make sure I got the verbiage correct.
Board of trustees.
The board of trustees. So when the board of trustees filed that lawsuit, the AD and all them completely devoid and completely detached from that, apparently.
Yeah, of course.
So the trustees just went rogue is what I'm hearing. And they went rogue for months. And you didn't say a damn word about it. They went rogue. You watched them go rogue. And now all of a sudden, after 2-10, all of a sudden you're like, whoa. Why are we so hasty to leave? What's going on here? This is soft. You know, the kids today have a phrase called standing on business. You know,
yeah.
We've talked about it on this show before with my guy, Coach Drink, because I love me some Coach
Drink. Yeah.
We stand on business, Josh.
Yeah.
We stand on business, Josh. Well, guess what? Florida State is pulling an anti-Coach Drink because them boys are not standing, sitting, squatting. They're running away from the business. They're not standing in a damn thing. This is unprincipled. This is unserious. This is embarrassing. And to me, this is more of a black eye than the actual lawsuits. Because, Dono, imagine if somebody would have said from the beginning, where's Florida State going to go? And if they only have two potential landing spots that have both shown in the past the ability to collude with one another, to shut out outsiders.
Yeah.
What would be their incentive to pay Florida State a full share, which would already make this a little nonsensical for Florida State from the jump? Yeah. If only somebody had said that, Dono. If only somebody would have said that. If only some bald, handsome gentleman with a beard, it's working towards attaching, and it'll be great once it's done. But if only somebody said it. And lo and behold, after one terrible season, here we are now, trying to walk this back and trying to, I never really said that. I never really. This would be the equivalent to Drake saying, hey, man, I never disliked Kendrick Lamar. You know, I never said anything bad about that guy. You know, Kendrick's my friend. We came in like the same class. I took him over the first world tour. We're good buddies. No, bro, that bridge is burnt. Florida State, you burnt that bridge. Too bad this season just turns out to be a not like us season for y'all because you didn't look like anybody else in the ACC with as terrible as you performed. So with that in mind, I will say this. This entire lawsuit saga from start to now has been not good for Florida State, but this is just embarrassing. This is downright despicable because now you look like the kid that showed up to the playground and wanted to beat anybody up on the playground. And then the first person that comes up to you hits you with a right cross and you go to sleep. That's what this looks like right now.
Yeah. I guess they'll try to spin this as we didn't actually want to leave. We just wanted to try to create better leverage and better financial terms with the ACC. But I mean, after a 2-10 season, their options may have gone from Big Ten versus SEC to AAC versus Mountain West. That might be how the landscape has changed here for them. Maybe they could join the Pac-2.
Well, you know, the Pac-2 just added a few teams from the Mountain West. So now I think they're up to what, the 8-pack? Don't worry. Hey, Florida State's going to help you out. It's going to be the 12-pack soon. Don't worry. We'll be back to the Pac-12, and Florida State will be part of it. But I'm sorry, Donald. They won't be part of it because remember, they never wanted to leave. They paid all these lawyers all this money. They allowed the trustees to pay all this money for kicks and giggles because, you know, what better to do in the year of 2024? Who doesn't have auxiliary hundreds of thousands of dollars to millions? Who doesn't have that type of money to waste in their budget? Where now, Dono, money is less important than ever in college sports.
I light my barbecue with $100 bills, and if I'm not using it on lighter fluid, I'm using it on NIL and all that.
I heard that you paid Xavier Restrepo yourself. That's what the word on the street is. They said the AD Collective was paying out Restrepo, and I wonder what the AD stood for. But now I know it's the Alex Dono Collective. So
one man, it's a collective of one.
I'm gonna tell you, you're a better one than me because as much as I love the Wolfpack, I ain't got that type of Skrilla. I ain't got it. I'm sorry. So Florida State apparently does have it to waste a ton of money on the lawsuit that, you know, is just about kicks and giggles apparently because nobody wants to leave and we're all crazy. Let me tell you something. I grew up with an absent father. I have been gaslit since the time I was a small little child. You got to work harder than this to gaslight me. You got to work harder than this to convince me. Because, Dono, I'm glad you read that. Everybody who knows me knows I keep detailed receipts on everything people say to me for just that reason. It's a terrible habit, Dono. It's ruined many personal relationships of mine. But I still do it anyway because you can't fool me. You can't lie to me and say, oh, I didn't say that really. Because at this point in time, at exactly this date, you said exactly that.
I'm glad you're better at that than me because people have hit me with so many different receipts of things that I've said, and I'm not good at keeping receipts. So, like, that's why I need to keep you around, and I do. You help me out. Well, excellent work as always. He's Kenton Gibbs from Locked On Wolfpack. I'm Alex Dono from Locked On Canes. Thank you so much for making Locked On ACC your first listen and your first watch today. We'll talk to you again next time on another episode right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.